bunch of nerds sit and ramble about video games.
Death by elbowing desk.
Shit fucking hurt.
I don't believe it. Taylor has this giant scar on his elbow.
Mm-hmm.
It's shaped like a giant J, and it's because he was in the kitchen, and he had a giant thing of beans. Mm-hmm. The thing was open and went. Oh,
I hate that.
And he freaking just blood everywhere. Apparently,
that's disgusting. Welcome to Super Smash Bros.
I didn't realize.
It's the podcast. We're back. I'm just gonna move this.
No one tells me when we start.
That's why it's good.
I'm just rambling about random stuff.
Just rambling about bleeding out.
No, that conversation came about because I was trying to hide the fact that I just have like my hamper out and it just has underwear in it that everyone can see, and I tried to put like a little Christmas bag on it, and I drew my elbow back and I hit the like edge of like where the mouse is, the little keyboard resting area. And some stuff fell from behind the monitors. This is a riveting story. Anyway, welcome to episode 5, I think, of the podcast. This is going to be an interesting one. Because it's Super Smash Brothers.
Super Smash Brothers. We were actually just talking about that earlier. About how the logos and the, how like they... in the originals they would kind of say Super Smash Brothers, or now it's just really simplified. There's like not even sound effects that play when this logo comes on screen.
Because Melee did it too. It was like Melee. It's like the coolest fucking shit because the music crescendos. And it's like the coolest thing. And then Brawl's like,
because that's when memories were made.
well, Brawl's was cool because while it didn't have like the announcer, it played with the music, so it went dun like it showed the logo, and it was cool. And then just fucking Smash Wii U and Ultimate doesn't have that.
No.
Whose voice is sexier, Pat Cashman's or Xander Mobus's? Good question.
That is a good question.
Pat Cashman was the narrator in Bill Nye the Science Guy. And then Xander Mobus is Joker in Persona 5.
And it's funny because when you hear Pat Cashman's voice as the announcer and also in Bill Nye, it's like there's no difference.
I mean, it's just
at
his
all.
voice. The dude was like 50-something at the time, I think.
Was he? Really?
When he did Bill Nye? Or the voices of the...
He was probably a little bit younger for Bill Nye, but
I was gonna say...
he's an older dude.
Okay, yeah.
Pat Cashman. Xander's like our age.
Yeah.
I think he's like a year older or a year younger than me, which is crazy.
No, because you look at him...
Well, both of us, we're the same age, but me and Chase. But I guess...
Well, I mean,
what's up?
I am older, but
by like 12 days. My birthday and Chase's are in the same month, but we're like 12 days apart. He's 12 days older. But it's funny because like you look at Jerry and then you look at Wes, and Wes looks like he's the oldest of us, kind of, just because he's got I don't know, I guess it's just the build of his face, or sometimes when he just lets his like kind of fuzz grow out a bit on his chin. He's the youngest. He was born in October of 95. Jerry's the oldest. He was born in July. But back to Smash Brothers. Sorry, I was gonna ramble.
Wow, tangent there.
I'll just say I like Pat Cashman's announcer voice for Brawl, but also like Xander's voice too, because it sounds very like
commanding,
kind of. But I felt more like an announcer, like you're like Mario, like that. It had like that kind of power behind it. Behind some of them, because some of them are like he says them differently.
Well, because he's also gone on record to be like, I just look at the character and then I'll say the name based off just the power of the character. Because he said that before in like podcasts and stuff, and it shows. Plus the fact that he's in 2 of the 5 games, so he's just basically the announcer, the definitive announcer now for Smash Brothers. I wish I could remember the name of the Melee announcer because he was cool.
Oh yeah, I forget his name.
Very nostalgic.
Except for me, because that's the one I know the least of, unfortunately.
I like when he says failure, or then he'll go. What's my favorite one he does like for the names of the characters? I think I like Mr. Game and Watch. Because it's like such a long name. But anyway,
I remember when I first heard him say Mario. To me, it didn't sound like Mario. It sounded like it sounded like he said Rhino or something.
Because he has like a filter to his voice.
Well, so yeah, it's the filter that's in his voice when he says that.
To me, it sounded like he was trying to do Mario's accent, like Mario. That's what I thought he was doing.
Yeah. Now I think about it, it's like, yeah.
But that's the one where the Fox theme comes in, because we did that. I don't know if you remember.
Yes.
How we did that for, I think it was Smash Wii U.
It was, yeah.
And we were like, Luigi, Fox, Pikachu.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It works best in Melee because Luigi says Fox.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess the lead-in question to get into the real discussions are, I know, well, we know, it's funny. Okay. What's the first Smash game you guys ever played? I already know them, but just say it for the podcast.
The original for the Nintendo 64.
And for me, is Melee.
Yeah, for both of us, it was Melee. But I guess
that was like our very first video game. That, or at least it's
for GameCube.
From my memory, it was like that's the one I remember the most because I distinctly remember when we got the game and the GameCube because it was a bundle.
I was gonna say yeah. That was actually gonna be another little follow-up question. Was like, do you remember when you first got Smash 64?
I do not remember when I got Smash 64. I remember, not at the time. I think I got introduced to it when Blockbuster was still a thing, and I think we rented it.
Nice.
You know, when we used to be able to rent cartridges and stuff.
Yeah.
Now I guess you could. The closest thing to that now is probably like GameFly. But that pretty much that type of service is dead now. Not really something you can do anymore. But I think that's probably what happened. And then I ended up later getting a copy from my friends that I ended up keeping in the long term. And that's just how because I had the Nintendo 64 and that's how I got into Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time. Those are my first two video games, you know, and then Smash 64 came shortly thereafter.
Nice.
So I guess that's cool that you got to like, because you say you skipped over Melee, but then like since you didn't have a GameCube at the time, right? But it's funny how like you did start when the series started.
Yes.
For us, it was a generation later because I had no idea. I personally would see the N64 little label when they would show like in the magazines, here's a game coming out soon for the N64, but I never knew what that was. So Nintendo was very foreign to me as a kid, like a little kid. Because all I knew was PlayStation. That's just all we had in the house. Was PS1, eventually PS2, and that's just kind of where my realm of gaming was. Because I would see that little Dreamcast logo and stuff too, but I just didn't know what that stuff was. So if I was truly interested and knew that there was more to games outside of PlayStation at the time, then I probably could have asked for an N64 or asked for a Dreamcast back then, but I just didn't know, so I didn't ask. So I completely had no idea Smash Brothers was a thing back in the day. In terms of N64 anyway. And then when Melee came out, I still didn't know it was a thing yet. It was probably about already a year or so old by the time I found out it was a thing. And at that point, I already kind of knew who Mario was, like sort of as a character, but I was still figuring it out. I mean, hell, when I saw the roster in Melee and I saw Bowser, I thought his name was Browser originally. Because that's been a long-standing thing. Even with Crash, when I was like 3, I thought his name was like Crash Bandicoot. I thought there was another T in there. Because that's how I used to draw. When I would draw the logo and I would put 2 T's. And that's just my dumb little weird dyslexic brain. Which I'm not actually dyslexic, but I swear there's an inkling of it in there. But then one of my neighborhood friends, Javier from Painbusters, had a friend whose name was Andrew, and he had Melee, and Andrew let Javier borrow his copy of Melee, and then I was over at that time when that transaction was happening, so I was like, what's that? And then I went over to his house a later day, and I watched him play, and then we both played it because he had 2 controllers. And that was my introduction to Smash Brothers. And basically, like, the world of Nintendo. So I got to kind of have the best of all represented worlds, as it were, in there.
No, so it's funny because you experienced Melee before I did, because my earliest memory of when we got it was It was like a Christmas gift, I think, or like a
It was
Christmas
that
present.
year. I was super into Melee. That's when we finally asked for a Nintendo console.
Yeah,
And in terms of,
because I had never seen anything out of Melee until we had gotten it, and then when we did, we set it up and played it and stuff. And because I also just distinctly remember what was on the box for that when
the
it came in.
GameCube.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because on the sides and stuff, it had images of other GameCube games that were out then, and it had a screenshot of an in-game screenshot, and they had the name of it underneath.
Yeah.
Because also, I distinctly remember seeing one of the NBA games that had Mario in it.
Oh
Had
yeah.
Mario, Luigi, and Peach in it.
Because SSX Tricky had them, and
Because fucking the screenshot is just this real ass dude next to this big ass cartoon ass Italian plumber, and they're on a basketball court.
it's really funny.
It was so surreal. I was like, "What the hell is this?" I
Crossovers-
remember looking at it and I
crossovers
just
are great.
laughed because I'm like, "What is this?"
This is such a clash of like reality.
It
going
was
on.
so weird because it's like it just stands out. Like the fuck.
Yeah. But yeah, like I want to say, 'cause that's where like the timeline of events kind of start to cross in my head, and I don't remember the actual chronological order of when it happened. But like the first console, Nintendo anything that we owned was for my 8th birthday, I got the Game Boy Advance SP. But our first home console for Nintendo was the GameCube. Because I don't remember, we had to have gotten Sunshine either that Christmas as well or sometime not long after. But the bundle came with Melee, so that's because I was like, Melee's cool, I want Melee. That's the one that Mom got for us. But yeah, like that, and then Luigi's Mansion, and probably
Yeah.
like Double Dash or like
I was
Mario Party
saying-
like 6 or something
Yeah,
came
good.
after.
I just skipped
Well,
straight
yeah.
into the Wii because I never had the GameCube. So I was like, for me, it was like N64, forward in time to Brawl, and then back again to Melee. It was kind of
Because Mario Party 6 was like, I believe that was the very first Mario Party we ever played, and
I think it was.
because I remember we rented it before we actually bought it.
Did we?
Yeah,
Do you remember that?
yeah,
I don't remember.
because
I don't remember renting a Mario Party at all. We really did.
Yeah, we rented it at Hollywood Video when it was still around.
Huh.
Because I kind of remember when we got it, because we were like, oh my god, and then because we played it for a while, and then when we took it back, then I was like, oh, I want that game because it was fun, and then eventually afterwards we did get
Probably how we got it. I don't remember how we got Mario Party 6.
it. Yeah, all
I
the other
remember.
ones,
Okay, you know what? No, I do remember renting Mario Party 7.
7.
I do remember
different.
that. I
Yes.
don't remember renting 6.
And
That's
you know
not,
how
that's
you know
not
how I
Smash
remember we
Brothers.
rented Mario Party 7 because I remember that copy that we got had the cover on it, because the one we have doesn't have anything on it, but the one we rented had like the artwork.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's one of those weird like.
because it had like those.
This is a rental box. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
there's like
No
nothing.
art,
no,
like
it just
weird
has
art.
like a label sticker on it with the name of the
Yeah.
game. Yeah.
It might have like a cartoon character from there or something
Yeah,
like that.
some
with
weird design.
some other art on it,
Yeah, that's
and it
right.
says Mario Party 7 or whatever. It has like the title on top.
But were y'all subject to rumors for Smash Brothers? Like, did you hear that so and so's in the game? Whether it was true or not, whether they were speaking out of their ass or not.
That was true for a lot of Nintendo 64 games. I mean, the same thing. The Mario 64, there was like Luigi's in the game.
Yeah.
You know?
But for Smash Brothers, did you ever like actually have that moment where someone
I don't-
like?
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. You know what? I think. Yeah, because I remember there was like the main 4 secret characters, which were Luigi, Jigglypuff,
Ness and Captain Falcon.
Yes, and after that, I think I remember. I don't remember any specific characters, but I think it was like. I think there was a rumor that basically those 4 were supposed to be the ones that tell you, hey, they're secret characters, and then there was supposed to be like another 2 after that weren't quite so obvious. Obviously, that's not true, you know. But I kind of remember something like that being a thing. But I don't remember anything for a specific character. Not until the later games where everyone was like constantly like, you know, 'cause back then, you know, rumors didn't spread quite the same way because you didn't have access to the internet. Where now, like,
Yeah.
like there's a leak of this, there's a rumor of this, or that, of this. And there's so many different things that could possibly happen.
We'll get there because boy, do we have a story
Oh boy, yeah.
with Smash Wii U and 3DS. But we'll get there.
Yeah. See, it's funny because I know, because I'm sure there are also like you have it, but like of like rumors and stuff. But funny enough,
sure.
I never heard rumors or anything about that, or I never saw, because I know there was all that stuff of like in the magazine where it was like, oh, if you do this thing, you unlock these fucking characters and whatnot in Melee, and it's like we never had that issue because I forgot what game magazine it was for. It wasn't Nintendo Power, it was something else.
Game Informer, maybe, or
maybe it was something like that.
Because for a time we were subscribed to Game Informer.
Yeah, and I never heard any rumors at all. Not even like school, not like school or anything, or not even from like the friends I had then. I never heard anything about it because I just played. I just played and I was like, oh shit, there's this character. Oh my god, who's this character? And then when like that was the time where I was like, look at all of these characters, and I didn't really know because since I didn't have the Nintendo history then, I was just kind of like, oh, here's all these characters from like I guess I thought they're all like I mean, I didn't know at the time that all of them were actual Nintendo properties then. Besides, well, no, was Martha and Roy Nintendo? Like, solely?
Of course.
yeah, that's Fire Emblem.
Well,
That's the thing. Fire Emblem, that back then, it was Japan exclusive.
yeah.
So
Yes.
it was their test. Sakurai felt, let's
I
leave
see.
them in for the, because he was going to take them out of the European and US release, and then they thought, well, maybe we can stretch Fire Emblem to the US. Now we've got how many fucking Fire Emblem reps in Smash?
Because
It worked.
Because that was the
it
thing.
definitely worked.
They were going to be in there because of obscurity reasons.
Yes, but that's why they're also not
But
translated. They've been in,
Yeah. But
up
see, it was
until
funny.
fucking Ultimate, they were.
But it was
they
funny
spoke
because
Japanese.
when I saw them, I was kind of like, oh, okay. I don't know these characters, but they look cool. And because I didn't know Fire Emblem, obviously, because, you know, it wasn't around then. But it was
Yeah,
like...
it wasn't until like the 5th installment, I think, that it finally came around to the United States.
that it got hella popular.
Yeah.
They started testing the waters by Brawl's time. That's why Ike came in. Because Martha and Roy, they just took a chance on leaving them in. Ike was specifically put in because
they had Fire
were...
Emblem for the GameCube.
And whichever one was first localized to really try and come to the U.S., I don't know if Ike was in that one, but I think they put Ike into Brawl to be like, hey, here's Ike. He's also a character from the series, and we're going to start bringing them to the U.S. I think that's where it started, because then with Wii U and Ultimate, they just fully fucking ran with that.
Because in Brawl, it was just Martha and Ike. It was just them two.
Yeah. But it's funny that we talk about Fire Emblem too, because I had that moment where I told you the story already. You already knew about it, but I reminded you about that story not that long ago, where one of my other friends, Alonzo, on the bus, just was like, "Hey, you have Melee? Yeah, you played it. Have you unlocked everyone? No, not yet." And he's like, "There's like this black guy called Mr. Game & Watch," and I'm like, "What the hell does that mean?" And he's like, "There's a guy called Marth and Roy." I'm like, "Are you fucking with me?" Like, I thought he was just pulling shit out of his ass. Because a lot of my friends did that. They would just start making shit up about games. But I was like, eh. And then eventually, we unlocked them, and I was like, oh, he wasn't fucking lying. It was cool. I was like, wow. It's like, you hear just about these characters, and it's, it's that golden heyday of, like, you can't just look it up so easily anyway. You could look it up on shit like... Before Games Radar was Games Radar, it was called Cheat Planet. So you would have like, unlock so-and-so, do this. Unlock so-and-so, do this. Mm-hmm. And when it came to Melee, I don't know if they exactly did it the same way in the first Smash with the 4 characters, but in Melee, you have different ways of unlocking characters. Like, unlock Mewtwo by doing this. Unlock Luigi by... Like, leaving a 2 in the seconds of the Mushroom Kingdom in Adventure Mode. And it's like... It's not hard to do, but it's very specific, and it's really cool.
It's specific requirements to unlock certain characters, and
it's secret. How the fuck would you ever do that?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Unless you did it by accident.
So yeah, that was the beauty of it, of unlocking characters in Melee, was that, like, you just kind of did a thing, and then that's how you got that character. Like, I mean, to unlock Ganondorf, you just had to do that one event match where it's your Link and Zelda's your partner. You have to defeat Ganondorf in that match, and then afterwards, as Link, you defeat Ganondorf, and that's how you unlock them. And it's like, oh shit, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, because you could still just the longer alternative and what is the more basic way to unlock characters is just to keep playing matches.
Yeah, playing versus
But if you
matches.
know about those requirements, you can just start unlocking characters like that. And it's so cool. And they don't do things like that nowadays with fighting games.
You had to rely on like strategy guides and stuff if they had them. And
Yeah.
not every game did, and
Yeah.
and some were better and more in depth than others, and you know.
Because, I mean, Sakurai tried to justify it with Ultimate by being like, well, there are fucking like 80 characters, so we're going to streamline the process. And like, you'll start with the base 64 roster, and then you'll just start unlocking dudes as you go. And while that was cool, it's still like, well, first off, we already know everyone who's in the game. That's the most hype part of Smash now, who's going to be in it. So we already know the full roster. Unlike other fighting games like Street Fighter or Tekken or Mortal Kombat, where it's like, well, we basically know the main characters will be there. Whether they're going to bring back returning ones or create some entirely new ones, like, they'll show us the new ones. It's not much of a secret nowadays for them to... They don't hold back on that anymore. But... And in Smash, it's the same thing, except for Smash, because it's a huge crossover-ass game. It's just... It's that much more... potent to just be like, bam, this guy you never thought was going to be Steve from Minecraft.
I know
Need I say more?
a literal piranha plant.
that one. I couldn't believe that one.
Fucking
that one was
funny.
funny.
I loved it
Because
I loved
that one,
Joke-ass character.
that one got me the most, because all the others, regardless if you agree with them or not, you can at least see why they would have an interest in putting that character in.
Yeah.
Who the absolute fuck was like,
Common Mario
piranha plant needs to be in the game.
I mean, Ultimate's where Sakurai wasn't pulling any punches and was like, okay, I'm going to try and see how many wishes I can fulfill and also just how much weird shit I can put into this game.
Pretty much.
I.e. Piranha Plant and Steve from Minecraft. Sans is a Mii Fighter costume.
Oh yeah, I know. They kind of give like a mini, like, look, you're not in the game, but here's your costume.
Exactly.
Here's
Doomslayer.
our acknowledgement of
Doomslayer,
these characters.
Gino, Shantae, Shovel Knight, right? No, Shovel Knight was an assist trophy.
Yes.
Yes.
Bomberman was an assist trophy. So even characters that people have been wanting for like ever that didn't make it as a character, a playable character, they tried to acknowledge in some way by Ultimate. By the time of Ultimate, they were like, okay, well, certain ones we'll do, certain ones we'll just try and like tweak a little bit. Not an actual, it's not them, but it's like their essence at least, so you can have something of them there.
Some kind of representation of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit salty about Shantae because I was really hoping that she would have been her own character, but it's not the here and there.
They can't include everyone.
I mean, they could have. It's Ultimate. 80 characters. There are a bunch that are in there. I mean, besides like Inkling and then whoever else from like the first teases and stuff, like the first real character they showed off to be a newcomer was Ridley. Like, that's where I was like, oh shit, like, they're doing it right. But that leads into a whole like philosophical thing that I need to talk about later. I'm getting way too ahead of myself. Because you guys pretty much already know. I know you know, Victor. I talk your ear off about that all the time. It's why I hope that this doesn't go over like an hour and a half. But,
Yeah, we got to be a little bit collected here.
going back to Brawl, though, I guess if we're going to go in chronological order, then going back to Brawl, that was the one where I started to pay attention to, like... Because that was 2007, 2008, so by that time, I still didn't have, like, YouTube to rely on for, like, trailers and content and sneak peeks, but I did have, like, Wikipedia and our magazines still and all that, so, like, I still have... I wish I could have taken it out before we started, but I still have that Entertainment Gaming Monthly magazine of just Mario's render, and it was like Brawl, and I was fuck yeah, and it got me really hyped. And
because weren't there other cover variations of the other
yes,
characters?
it was like Wario, I think like Peach, and like
I think one
Zero
of them was
Samus,
I
and
think one of them was Kirby too.
one of them was Kirby, and Pikachu I think was on one of them. It was a fucking huge thing, and in the magazine, in the article, it was like a fucking like 5-page spread or something, and they would have the silhouettes of some of the characters, some of the newcomers, and they'll give you little hints, and then if you turn the page, they reveal who they are, and it's like the coolest shit. Because splash screens for newcomers started with Brawl, but not in the flashy way that they look like now.
Yeah.
It was just like, poof, newcomer, Wario.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was
Like, it was very
hype.
simple, but it was very much like, oh, fucking hell.
Yeah. Brawl was hype. What are y'all's opinions about Brawl?
Chase.
I really liked it. It was definitely, with the Space Emissary, and you have that whole campaign.
So good.
Yeah,
It's so good.
Yeah,
So
it is.
fucking good.
In fact, well, I guess
Because that's the first time we really had anything like that.
of course. It was just the cutscenes, even though they were silent, they were still like it has Nintendo's humor in it, and it just has everyone meeting up with each other, and it was really, really cool. It was basically like our Infinity War back then. Basically is what it was.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then Ultimate was our end game. But anyway.
Jesus.
Oh my god.
I guess we can confirm it in this podcast, but if anyone's listening to this and have watched VidGames and watched our Versus videos and stuff, you'll realize that we have played every single Smash game except for Brawl, and that's because Chase and I, at some point, might do the Subspace Emissary as a full playthrough, because I haven't touched it in years. It's the best thing ever. So, I think... We'll do a Versus later, of course, as well. But we've done every other Smash game except for Brawl, and it's because we've been wanting to do Subspace as a playthrough. But yeah, that's where I was starting to follow Smash, and I was like, okay, I'm into it, and it was hype. Then the Wii U happened, and that's where we get a little weird. It's clean. The visuals are fucking amazing. It's like one of the most colorful Smash games.
I say when the first trailer came out, I was amazed by it. I was like, holy shit.
Oh yeah, I was super fucking hyped.
I was like, oh my god, the next Smash game is gonna be fucking good.
Thoughts?
Well, I will say, because I was happy, because I obviously didn't have a Wii U either, so I had Smash 4 because of the 3DS, and I really liked the fact that it was on the 3DS because I could play Smash wherever I wanted to.
I was say, yeah.
Now with the Nintendo Switch and Ultimate, I can continue to do so. But that was the first one where I'm like, dude, I can play all the time wherever.
That was one of the biggest.
I always got Smash now.
Yeah. But that was one of its strong points at the time. It was the first Smash to be mobile. Yeah. Okay. So basically, I'm not plugging these channels or these things, but it's like on West Side Studios, how we used to do Trash Talk, which was our review show. Wes and I chronicled different parts of the development throughout Wii U and 3DS's kind of lifespan, and so it started with that first trailer, and we were like, oh shit, and then the more it went through, it's it's still good. Some character inclusions, I was like, my thing is that I saw that Capcom was going to be a big part of that one, and I was like, okay, that was kind of strange to me. And I thought to myself, well, because Sega and Nintendo had that whole thing in the late 2000s with Mario and Sonic and all the Olympic games, and then him being in Brawl, I was like, that was just a result of that. And then with Snake also being in there for Brawl, they were the only two third-party characters. And that was kind of like the slow door open to Steve from Minecraft. So
yeah, go from Solid Snake to Steve from Minecraft. Solid Snake, I always thought his inclusion was interesting because he's kind of the first character to be quite different from a lot of the other ones. Not just simply because he's third party. He's just this different style game entirely.
He was the very first character from an M-rated game to be in an E-rated game, at the time, and Kojima really wanted Snake to be in Brawl, and so that's basically the reason why Snake was.
Sakura said we have to appease Kojima-san. And so it was done.
Because however that works, then it became Snake and Brawl, and then
But
You know?
my issues with the future Smash games, or the more current ones, kind of tie to the fact of how, again, it lends to how we were saying that we grew up in a different time when stuff was a little bit more experimental and it wasn't set in stone yet, and it was just different. So because we grew up with Melee, where there were no third parties, and if anything, the only real experimental characters were Marth and Roy, because it was the only real like Japan exclusive thing to be directly represented in the character roster. We were like, this is Smash Brothers. It's Nintendo All-Stars fighting each other. And that's how the first game also, I mean, that's like literally what it's not what it says on the cover. It's like Super Smash Brothers, Nintendo All-Stars or something like.
Oh, in the box art for the 64 version?
Yeah. It says, there's like a tagline.
I believe so.
I think it says something akin to that, at least.
It's
Yeah.
very similar.
Like
yeah.
that, yeah. Because also I remember with
Actually, Melee's
intro says Nintendo's All Stars in,
Yeah.
and then it has the title afterwards.
So that lends to me, it's all these heavy hitters from Nintendo's biggest franchises and a couple obscure ones, which is completely fine. And then Brawl comes out, and they've got Sonic and Snake representing different third-party companies. And it's like, okay, they're kind of getting a little bit more experimental. And it seems like somewhere along the line, by the time Smash Brothers Wii U and 3DS came out, it's like, let's just take that and fucking run with it like it's a baton in a marathon. And it became...
Next character.
Yeah.
Next character.
Yeah, they just kept passing it to... All the fucking Fire Emblem characters are passing it to each other.
It went from Nintendo All Stars to crossover.
Yes.
Because that
exactly.
and that crossover started with Brawl.
Because the crossover was very Nintendo exclusive in the first three. With Sonic and Snake in there. But then Wii U and 3DS got experimental in a different way, where it's like, how big and how varied can we just start grabbing people from different stuff and mashing them in? Because we got Pac-Man, Mega Man. How many other third parties are there? Because again, there are a lot of sword fighters. It's a
Final
fact. Final Fantasy Cloud, yes.
Mega Man, Pac-Man, Cloud, Ryu.
Who
else was in there? I think there was another. Fuck, I'm trying to remember.
Bayonetta.
Yes. But it started to get very weird to me, because then they started giving some of them like unique as fuck styles, because then it became a little bit less of, just a smidge less of, how can we make them fight like a Smash Brothers character, and more of, how do we adapt the gameplay from their game into Smash Brothers.
Steve from Minecraft.
Inklings,
he plays so much different.
Yes.
I know.
Inklings.
Yeah.
Everyone started getting little fucking meters and bars and shit on the
Oh yeah.
above their fucking health.
Yeah.
And it's
yeah,
like
Cloud's Limit Breaker. Yeah.
It's like, oh my god. I think Ryu had kind of like supers or something, I think. And it's
well,
Little Mac has this thing where you can
Yes.
just star KO someone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It gets fucking nuts, and it's like, and at some point, to me, I'm just gonna preface that for everyone listening and for you guys, because you already know, because I've talked your guys' ears off about this, but like, in my personal experience with Smash, it's like, it's Nintendo first and foremost, and it's been set in this very particular way. So when they start deviating from it in very many different ways, depending on the characters, and how they play, the characters that they bring in, it starts to feel like this is just crossover the game now, like you said, Victor. And it's like, okay, I just have to accept the fact that Sora's in Smash. I don't fucking know. I mean, Wii U and 3DS, what do you have to say about it?
Wii U and 3DS started strong, and then slowly over time it got weirder and weirder until it's like, this isn't good.
Yeah.
Obviously I still played it because it was like, the gameplay itself is fine.
It's clean.
It's
Still,
good.
I guess this thing is like, we're saying bad comparatively to other Smash games.
'Cause-
as a game, it's still
'cause here's-
just fine.
Because here's the thing,
Of course,
is that
yeah.
also starting with Wii U 3DS, it was like the game itself is okay. Like the gameplay is good. The business decisions of doing certain things in it was what was like, what the hell are you doing?
remember when they were doing the
Like,
everyone got to vote on what character they wanted.
The
And
Smash Ballot.
Yeah.
That was
Smash Ballot
that was the single most awful idea they ever
it
came
was
up
the
with.
worst thing.
If it was worse, if it was up to people, we would have had Goku and Shrek.
And Superman. And SpongeBob. Fucking, what were they thinking?
Yo, because here's the
To
thing.
the point where the real winner was Sora, but due to whatever shit with Disney, they had to just white a game, and it's like, okay, and they still didn't show us the results.
Actually, both Sora and Banjo had to wait till then because Banjo was behind Sora in the ballot.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, Banjo was going to be, if Rare never was bought out by Microsoft, Banjo would have been in Melee.
I mean, yeah.
So,
No, the weirdest part was that I was like, what the hell? Was when they said, okay, 3DS version is going to be the first one, and then then it's the console version. And it's like,
do you not know that we live in a fucking era where now the internet is not only big, but people stream. Everything all the time. So when your version of this fucking highly anticipated entry in the series comes out, and no one else can access it besides a certain region,
because
that region is going to play the game, stream it, and leak everything else. And that's exactly what happened.
Because that's how we learned about Duck Hunt.
Nothing was a mystery. Bowser Jr., Ken, not Ken. That was Ultimate. Ryu, and Marth. I think, or Roy and Ryu.
Fucking just
Mewtwo was already kind of, they teased it.
Well, that was in that. Yeah, that was that.
Why? Okay, I have a question. Why was everyone fucking jizzing over Mewtwo? Everyone. I don't understand it. Somewhere along the line, Mewtwo, because he missed out on Brawl, when Wii U and 3DS came out,
was both Mewtwo
that was like
and Wolf.
they were like the most highly requested characters to come back.
I think the way it was
before the
like,
ballot and all that shit.
Like,
but like,
I think it was like Mewtwo, Wolf, and Snake. Like those were the three that.
But
really
I mean, Mewtwo was
back.
everywhere, and everyone in the Smash community
Mewtwo,
was
I have
going
no
insane.
I mean,
over Mewtwo.
I mean, I have no fucking.
And then they finally teased it, and everyone was like, "Oh my god!" And it's like, it's Mewtwo. Calm the fuck down. It's funny to watch like Etika's reactions and all that shit, but it's like, it's Mewtwo. Like, I don't get. And then like the smaller itty bitty, seemingly like who cares kind of decisions, design wise, there are three that I was like, what the fuck? Ganondorf's redesign. Ridley's redesign.
Oh God, don't remind me.
And Fox's voice. Fire!
My lord.
His voice was so fucking weird. And Ganondorf looked like he was made of Play-Doh. Like, he just, if you compare his look from Brawl and Wii U and 3DS, his face looks so, it's like he got a facelift. I don't know what they did to him. And then Ridley just looks fucking weird as shit.
Really was god awful.
I remember when Xander Momus was like, you can turn him into Meta Ridley. And then you see Meta Ridley, and he doesn't look like Meta Ridley. He just looks like a slightly different colored Ridley. And his head shape is all fucking weird. And I'm like, what the hell did they do to him?
Exactly.
So when he was properly revealed in Ultimate as a fighter, I was like, it's Ridley.
I was like, holy
he looks like
shit.
Ridley. It was so Smash Wii U and 3DS was like so fucking weird.
It was.
I think it's safe to say that's my least favorite Smash game. Because that summer leak.
Who remembers fucking Smash Tour? Am I right?
I was gonna say too. We got no new. The character, those splash screens and all that shit. The character that fucking trailer, the character reveal trailers. Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Some of the best CGI Nintendo's ever done.
Very well animated.
Why didn't we get a story mode with that animation? Ultimate kind of had it. I mean, World of Light. I mean, we talked about it earlier. Fucking, the villain is God and Satan.
The villains are orbs.
Orbs.
The villains are literal orbs.
Eldritch creatures of light and dark. It's Kingdom Hearts. Okay, I guess it makes sense. It all comes full circle. Remember Tabu? Fucking best villain they ever fucking made for Smash Brothers.
Can you guys tell that Marcel is really passionate about this?
Well, it's already documented. Like I said,
I mean,
Trash Talk documented my process from this is fucking cool to what did they do? So like it's the one. If it's Skylanders, Sonic, Smash Wii U 3DS. If you just say it, I'll be like, I got something to say, and I'll just start fucking going off. Better get off that train now before we just stay on it for another like 50 minutes.
well, I wanted to say real quick was like, I find it funny. It was very amusing, like when everything was leaked, and then they still were like, "Oh,
Here's the trailer.
Here's
Who's this character? Bowser Jr. We already fucking know. It was leaked. Stop acting like we don't know. Like,
and it was even more hilarious was going on their site for Wii U 3DS, and they had
the silhouettes.
They had this fucking section, right? They had this
For
goddamn
characters.
section where it was like, here's these characters and these silhouettes. Who the fuck are they? And it's like, you click on it and it's like, Ness and Water and all that. You literally click on it and it's like, there's the character right there.
It's so, I'm
And
telling
like,
you.
Why'd you do that then? If you can click on it and see them, why are you making them silhouettes? That doesn't make any sense.
It harkens back to why we're so passionate about how we grew up with Smash Brothers. Because it was legitimate back then. There was mystique. There was a sense of there were rumors and hearsay on the playground or on the bus. You had to look through magazines.
Yeah.
That makes it feel like you had to work for it. And then I didn't even have to put any effort. I would just go on Twitter because I'm always on Twitter. And did you see Bowser Jr. is now in the game? And I'm like, are you fucking... There goes that reveal.
Yeah.
There goes that reveal.
Yeah.
No mystique at all. And that's around the era where they were showing off every single character because by that point, that's what mattered.
That is true. That is really annoying because, like, back in the day, and not just for anything, like, if you're right, like, when you had to find something out, had to like actually investigate.
It was like detective work.
Right,
We all became little detectives.
Where now you're doing
At
the
the age of
opposite.
8.
You have to try and avoid the internet to not get
Which is
spoiled.
everywhere.
Yeah, to
It's
try
on
and
your
not get
fucking
spoiled.
toaster.
You log into Twitter, you log into Facebook,
Yeah.
YouTube. There's gonna be some kind of thumbnail. You might get links to some like IGN article. Like, God dang, like it's like you have to like literally just like if I can just stay away from the internet for a couple months so that the next game comes out and they can start talking about that, then I can maybe get by and not have spoilers up my asshole.
I know, because that's the thing was that like it went from here's all this shit where it's like we're gonna present the base part of it, but then there's all this other things that you could do, and it's like you probably did most of them on a fucking whim without even realizing. You're like, oh fuck, this character's in here. Okay, cool. I unlocked this character.
It's like
It was really like, holy shit. It was like that moment where you were just kind of like, oh my god, like I did this thing and I unlocked this character because I just did that. Then it went from that to just, okay, who's next? Oh god, okay.
Introducing DLC into Smash Brothers was simultaneously the best and worst thing they could have done, because not only does it give us the fans more chances to see their favorite characters in, and it elongates the gameplay until the next game is ready, but then files have to be put in the game via patches and updates, and people fucking go through and data mine that shit, and then that's how we get our leaks. And there's a difference between like Kotaku being like, here's somewhat the next Smash character might be here almost, and then you have to look into it if you want to spoil yourself, and then it's just scrolling through and finding some Japanese text with Bowser Jr. on it, and it's like, what the fuck? Why would you do that? That was your choice to do that, and you just spoiled everyone. Fuck you. Like,
I mean, yeah, pretty
that's
much.
what happened during that summer of, it was 2014, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
First off, let me just say too that Smash Brothers Melee gets a Space World trailer, and it's online on YouTube, and everyone goes fucking insane over it. Brawl gets an E3 2006 trailer, and we get the EGM magazine and all this other cool shit. Reggie comes out and goes, by the way, Smash Brothers is coming to Wii U and 3DS. 2011. Nothing to show. Goodbye. And then 2 years later, we get a fucking E3 reveal. Like, it just wasn't... That game, I'm telling you, was not handled correctly. I don't know what the fuck happened. Like, it baffles me. And yes, it comes back around to... I don't know what fetish Sakurai has for anime sword fighters, but it's there because so many fucking... We got, what, 3 or so reveals for Fire Emblem in one trailer? Or maybe at least 2. It was Lucina, Robin, they teased Chrom.
They teased Chrom, but it was just Lucina and Robin.
But it was insane. It's... And they kept it up. Like, the one where I was like, okay, this has to be a fuck you to us, which I took offense to,
Was Chrom.
was Ultimate...
Or,
No,
not Chrom.
Byleth.
Byleth.
Because that one character is like, what's the problem? Too many sword fighters? I was like, oh, they didn't. They did not go there. You can't make fun of it when it's still a thing you're doing. Like, that's just kind of saying, nah, fuck you, shut up. And it's like, that's not the way to handle that. They did that. And I was like, are you... I got mad. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, there's an idiot like me rambling and ranting gar-rar on the internet.
Gar-rar. I'm Marcel, I'm mad.
Yeah. There's a difference between that and then if I were to, like, actually construct my thoughts and make a video on it or something with a script, I'd be able to actually do, like, a fucking thesis statement on, like, okay, there could be more variety. If you break it down with how many characters are in the roster, 1/5 of the blah, blah, blah. Like, I could probably do that, and I know that some people still find that bullshit, but it's like, it doesn't just come from out of my ass. It comes from just observing. It's like every other reveal. It's like, okay, yeah, Steve, whatever, joke character, haha. Awesome fucking Banjo is in Smash. That's fucking dope. And then another Fire Emblem character, or some sort of a sword fighter. Sephiroth or something. And then someone else, cool, and then someone else. And it's like, it's always... I'm surprised they didn't just go like 3 in a row. Because they could have.
Yeah, they could have very easily done it. But... So...
I mean, Banjo to me... I'm sorry, let me just get one more thought in.
Okay.
Banjo to me, since he was supposed to be in Melee, represents old Smash. That's why we got so fucking hyped when we saw him.
Also because we thought with the whole...
Also because Banjo hasn't had anything in, like, ever since Nuts and Bolts.
Because there was that, and then having to go through with Microsoft to get that going.
But the fact that it happened, that was, like, the coolest thing.
I would say, yeah, it was like, holy
and
fuck.
No one was expecting it.
I wasn't even into Banjo as much then, but I was still like, holy fucking shit. Banjo's in Smash.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Xbox and Nintendo have been getting along pretty well lately. Actually.
Lately, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because Banjo-Kazooie is coming to the Nintendo Online thing, I think, next month.
I think so, yeah.
Whenever this goes up, January.
Yeah, something like that. When it comes to sword fighters and stuff, my thought process is, first, I think of it as what the company has to go through with getting that character, whether it's third party or whatever. It's
well, I'm
still,
sure it's the same thing as like, with anyone else.
Because like how we were saying, like how we've said before, like in our talks and whatnot about it, was that Three Houses wasn't out yet, but they still included Byleth in Smash because that's what Nintendo wanted Sakurai to do. Because when I heard that, because that was in an article, when I heard that, I thought Sakurai himself, while he is the mastermind behind Smash, he's not the one that's making the choices for the most part. Like, there are characters he's expressed that he had an interest in.
Yeah.
But he doesn't say, I'm the one that has to go through to do all these loops. He has to also go to the head of Nintendo to do that, to get the okay to do that and process and do all that.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm like, okay, maybe that's why most of them are sword fighters, because of one reason or another. There has to be something there, whether it's through him or the company or something like that.
Both.
Well, because that started in Wii U 3DS, where it's like, it I don't know if Sonic had a ton of games. We know Sonic had a ton of games on the Wii around that time with Brawl and all that, and just the partnership with Nintendo. That's why he was in Brawl. And again, harkening back to Melee, where it's like Martha and Roy only were there because Nintendo was trying to inch Fire Emblem onto the Western audiences, and I think the European audience as well, to be like, maybe we can push this franchise internationally, and then it could start getting attention, which of course it did.
Yeah, Three Houses is a very popular game.
But that exact concept right there was just fucking run with in Wii U and 3DS. Because, hey, Shulk, buy Xenoblade Chronicles. It was definitely... Because, like, even in the directs and presentations for E3, whatever, it would be a Smash reveal for that character. Bam, immediate next trailer. It's for their game.
Yeah, it was, and yeah, like the trailer, and that trailer
It just...
be
They
before
were,
or after.
they weren't even trying to hide it. That it was all for promotional reasons.
That was the other thing too. Was like,
sadly, ironically, I was also like, well, my reasoning for Shantae, well, she should just be in there anyway because she has the Nintendo history. I was like, if you don't want to bank on the Nintendo history, like at the time we had a Half Genie Hero or like Seven Sirens. So it's like for Ultimate, put her in if you want to fucking promote Seven Sirens. You shouldn't do it for that reason, but if you had to, since you've been doing it with a bunch of other fucking characters, there you go. Like, that's what... Yeah, like, over the course of all the DLC and everything for, I think, Wii U and 3DS, 2 Fire Emblem games came out. And that's why we got so many, because for one era, one game, a couple reps gone to Smash, and for the other one,
so yeah,
a couple
Lucina
more.
and Robin was Awakening, and then when the DLC happened, then there was Fates.
Yeah.
Which had fucking Corrin.
Yeah.
And, yeah, and... It was a mess, but I should mention this. Like when all the Fire Emblem characters were starting to come out during Wii U and 3DS, I remember being all like, well, okay, well then what about all these other ones? And I remember not being as constructive in being critical about the character choices, because I would always be like, okay, well, fucking, who cares about this character? But at the same time, I'm like, well, now I'm like, well, I understand. I have an understanding of it. I just wish it didn't happen, but I understand it.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, like now it's like, okay, we get it. This is the main character of whatever game that's coming out or is out. Why not have, if you want to have more of the Fire Emblem rep, why not just get a character, get any other character from those games and put them in somehow. Like, give them a moveset, to think of something for them if they have any at all. And it's like that was my problem with those inclusions was, okay, here's all these other characters you have in here. Why not have them be represented in some form or fashion instead of just having it be the main characters?
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember taking a look at some of those different rosters for different Fire Emblem games, and there are like some crazy characters that don't use swords that look really cool, and I'm like, I don't care if they're like the secondary character in that game or something. Like,
Or
if
even
they
the
make
villains.
or the villain, if they make a cool character, put them in. If that's what you want to rep, like,
I'll say,
at least
they
make them different.
It's like, because you could have at least done the whole, like, how they had the hero and villain and whatnot. You could have at least had that.
Because that's where I'm just like, I know how it's going to make me sound, but it's like, when you've got all these guys that are all sword fighters, I don't care what their movesets are. They all swing a sword. We already have so many characters in the base roster, especially if you look at something like Ultimate, that swing swords. If you just keep adding more sword fighters that swing swords, what's different? in the gameplay aspect of it, like, it feels like that class of fighter is just so oversaturated. Because I always say, like, you look at the Mario reps, they're all different. You can get away with, okay, Mario and Luigi
Are pretty close.
pretty close. Dr. Mario, it's a joke character, I guess. Whatever, who cares? Everyone else, Daisy doesn't count because she's an Echo Fighter. She does play the same as Peach for the most part. But Rosalina plays way different. Bowser plays way different. Bowser Jr. plays way different. Yoshi represents his own series for the most part, but he's still way different. He's not really like anyone.
Yeah, even Wario too. He's representing WarioWare.
But he's
But
not.
like-
He's not even like a half Mario clone or anything. No, he's his own character. Like they're all different. Piranha Plant, obviously. So like, why can't? What does Marth do? He's got his sword and he has the they have like the three of them or so have the same Final Smash, and it's like, where's the variety? That's where it started to piss me off, and it's just that stuff to get off the Wii U and 3DS train. Just that stuff. And like those little weird things like Fox's voice and Ganondorf's design, and a lack of story mode, despite the cool as fuck character trailers with the CGI, and the weird like Smash Tour and whatever the fucking weird modes they put in there. Like, it just
Smash 2 was by far the worst mode that they've
It was
ever
weird.
implemented. In.
It was weird.
So it was just like, here's Smash Brothers Mario Party.
Yeah.
With your Mii characters. It was like, what the fuck is
This
this?
isn't Smash Brothers. What is this doing?
The
here?
most fucking like new mode was like Smash Run on the 3DS, and that because that one was like you're going around this fucking land, defeating enemies from different games,
this land.
and you're collecting all these like little things to boost up your stats, and then after a certain amount of time passes, you go into a match and you have all that stuff, and it was actually really fun. Then Smash Tour happened, and it was like, this is a weird knockoff Mario Party. What the fuck is this?
But Chase, what did you think? You haven't spoken in like 10 minutes.
I know. I was mostly listening to it. I came in a couple times. You guys are on a tangent, that's for sure. Like I said, the biggest thing for me was just simply being able to play on the go. That was definitely my biggest point. I definitely agree with you guys that 4 is probably the weakest one. For me, if I had to order it, Smash Ultimate's number 1. With the Nintendo 64 original being number 2. Admittedly, primarily for nostalgia, probably. Brawl and Melee are kind of in the same boat for me. I like Brawl because of the Subspace Emissary. I think it felt more well-rounded as a game to me. But if you were talking specifically about Smash, I think I like Melee a little bit better.
Okay.
And then that leaves 4 being like not a bad game, but plenty to
Critique.
yes,
Bring up.
yes, exactly.
Because I'll also say this:
Discuss.
there are like Wii U 3DS does have its ups.
I said
It does
it's
have
clean. It
its-
still plays nice.
So
Yeah.
it has its good parts. There's just a lot of it that's so bad that it's just like, what the fuck happened?
It's questionable. Even if
it's
I mean,
questionable.
to
at the
outright
most.
say it's even like bad is like
I wouldn't say it's the. I,
mean-
wouldn't say it's the worst, but it's like it's not that good at all. Or at least like there's a lot of
It's not
things that
strong.
doesn't. Yeah, that doesn't. There's a lot of things about it that doesn't make it the strongest of the series.
Yes, exactly.
it's not like it's an unplayable mess. It's just by far, in our opinions, not the strongest Smash in the slightest.
Yeah.
If I had to rank them, it'd be probably Ultimate, Brawl, Melee, and 64 4.
If I had to rank them, it would be Brawl, Ultimate, Melee, 64, and
4.
and all of those are purely because we like how I was saying, Melee is up there because of nostalgic reasons, and it was the first one, so it's kind of like, okay, that was like the introduction. 64 is only below because since we didn't grow up with it, and it was kind of like, okay, it controls a little weird, but it was the first one, it's experimental. I can let that slide.
I mean,
'cause it was
like
the
a month
beginning.
or two ago, we did.
Oh yeah, because you can't bash a
replay
game
of-
to be like super simplistic.
yeah,
it's
'cause
the
it's-
first one.
I was saying, yeah, it was so experimental. And
Tell that to the
simplistic
Crash
that was
people.
very,
I say
like-
Crash 1 sucks.
Yeah.
I was saying, because it was so experimental and very like in the beginning, it was like very much like, okay, they didn't really know what to make of it, so it's just kind of like, it was kind of like, here's Nintendo, put in a fighting genre.
I mean, it wasn't
and
even
then
going to be a Nintendo game.
Well, because
like,
but I can understand a little bit because obviously, like, there is a certain degree of how well do games age.
Yeah.
And some games definitely do it better than others. I don't think Smash 64 does particularly bad. It's just simple.
The controls aged. The style obviously didn't.
Yes.
Obviously, when there are...
Yes.
Oh, but the platform genre is plentiful right now. We've got Multiverses coming out soon. We've got Nick All-Star Brawl, PlayStation All-Stars, Rumble, what's it called?
Battle Royale.
Battle Royale. TMNT Smash Up. People call them Smash clones. They're platform fighters.
Cartoon Network Punch Time Explosion.
So many. Brawlhalla.
You brought up the
Brawlhalla.
controls. Honestly, that's not even the Smash 64's fault, simply because that's just a
Well, I know.
Nintendo
It's the
64
N64's
Yeah,
fault.
yes,
I know.
Blame the console.
Yes, that
I
is,
know,
that is
but I
the
was just saying,
64's
like-
problem.
I know. I was. Just
I have
saying,
no
like,
problem
you
doing
know,
that.
I'm like, it's like I'm not really. There's really nothing much to critique about it because of how simplistic everything is.
Like,
so
it's
that's
so
why it's
fun.
not the worst
Smash
one.
is fine. It's the classic progression through the levels. There's just fine.
Yeah.
It has the main characters. It's fine. Board the platforms and break the targets was fun. You know, it was a good start.
It was funny because I watched Victor play Adventure Mode with a few characters, like a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago maybe? Last week probably? I don't remember when it was. It
like
was
a few weeks ago.
not very long at all. And I'm like, it's so simple. It's so fun. Like, I wish they brought a mode like...
Sometimes simplicity is
that bad.
nice, you know, because I think a lot of times I think sometimes developers expect that, oh, I have to be so complicated to compete with all these big titles. That's what the player base is going to want from me, and then they end up oversaturating their own game and then if they just stuck with the simple idea, it would have been better in the long run, you know.
I mean, that's what it feels like with a lot of the character inclusions. A lot of them being third party, a lot of them being there for promotion. It stopped feeling like Super Smash Brothers, Nintendo All-Stars fighting each other. That is still my mentality for Smash. That's what I grew up with. That's what it gave to me. That's what it told me it was. And seeing it evolve to what it is now, while it is impressive, a lot of it is really cool. I'm obviously not saying it isn't. A lot of it, these specific things we're talking about, make it...
Kind of double-edged sword, almost.
Yeah, it kind of
Yeah.
dampens that part of the experience, where it starts to feel kind of bizarre in a way.
Like a little cluttered.
Inclusion for clutter is kind of what happened, yeah.
But when Ultimate, coming to that now, when Ultimate was first teased, they they made it look like it was a Splatoon thing. So I was like, none of us were none the wiser. We were just like, all right, Splatoon, because they came off the heels of like Splatoon. I think it was Auto Expansion or something. It was something for Splatoon 2.
Yeah.
And then it's like, here's another thing for Splatoon. And my initial thought was Splatoon, because it was mimicking Splatoon 1. So I'm like, Splatoon 1 on Switch? But then I was like, well, Splatoon 2 already feels like Splatoon 1, so that'd be kind of redundant. And then I'm like, is this Splatoon, like, animated series Nintendo's doing? Because it looked very, like, cinematic. Some other, like, Smash people in the community who do reactions and stuff like Etika and them caught on, and they were like, is it Smash? And by the time the tone changed and the Inkling turns around and then the Smash logo, I was like, oh my god. And I'm just like, I got scared because of Wii U and 3DS. I was like, what are they going to call it? What is this going to be? And they left us with just a teaser, and I was like, shit. I was like, oh god. Because even down to Smash Brothers for Wii U, for 3DS, it's not even a title.
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
That's a fucking work
Melee
in progress.
Brawl for Wii U and 3DS. Like, what the fuck were you thinking? So when they just said Super Smash Brothers, I was like, oh shit. And then E3 happened, and I was like, fucking hell.
Yeah,
Like,
right?
I didn't get to watch it when it happened because we were there, me and Wes, or Wes and I, and I'm walking around the show floor, and I get to Nintendo, and I just see a pillar, and it just has Smash Brothers Ultimate, and then bam, it just starts cycling through characters, and it's like Ridley, Inkling. I'm like, fucking Ridley? And I was like, whoa!
I watched that when it was live, and my god, I was like, what the...
No. You would have probably started legitimately tearing up if you looked behind you from where I walked in and just saw the massive screen with the banner of everyone.
If I was there and I saw that, I probably would have. I probably just
I was
would have
like,
been like, oh my
everyone's
fucking
here.
God.
I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And actually, that day one, we got, Wes and I had got those little special tickets so you can play, like cut the rest of the line and just go for the early stuff.
Like a fast pass kind of thing.
And we got to play, and I think our gameplay was on the big monitor. I'm like, this is fucking dope. I was like, this is Smash Brothers. Like, it's back, basically.
I even remember seeing that play all like the placeholder menu of like, because some of the icons showed like the models instead of the artwork. and stuff. Like Mario's was very like, okay, that's his model that they use instead of having his portrait up there. And there was like a color for Ridley that wasn't ever. It was only for that menu, and it wasn't in the game and whatnot. But it was still very much like, holy fucking shit, this is awesome. You know?
Because then when we eventually went back and I watched the presentation, I was blown away because a lot of the things that I took issue with Wii U and 3DS, they were starting to address. They were like, okay, characters that just are fucking like Lucina is just female Marth. So when they go to Ultimate, it's like, okay, well now these are Echo Fighters. They feel like the character that was introduced first, but they're slightly different. And just seeing Ridley look better and Ganon be fashioned after Ocarina. They went back to Melee Ganon. I was like, shit. Like, this is for the fans. And,
especially the tagline of everyone is here.
Yeah.
When they're like, okay, here's fucking Snake is back. Then there's the tagline. And now here's everyone else from Melee, like Young Link, Pichu, fucking Ice Climbers. They were, and it was like, oh my, what?
Ice Climbers too, because they were supposed to be in Wii U and 3DS, but there was that dumbass reason of, well, we can't get them working properly on 3DS, and Sakurai wants to keep the rosters the same between both, so we're just not going to put them in Wii U. And it's like, okay. But they got them working on Ultimate, so... and having those a good, strong... Of all the characters that they did show off, all the newcomers, DLC included, a strong, many of them there were Nintendo characters. And I was like,
all of them were,
shit!
actually.
Like, Inkling, Ridley, Isabelle, fucking Daisy. Like, just so many of them off the bat. K. Rool. It was nuts. Dark Samus, I mean, Chrom, sure, whatever, because they teased him in the last one.
The only third party they showed off, if I believe, was Ken. Because it was Ken and Incineroar.
Yeah,
They
for
were the
base
last
roster
two.
stuff, yeah.
And then after that was like all the DLC stuff.
It was the DLC again where it started to feel kind of like Wii U and 3DS because of those characters and all that. Where I was just like, you started off strong, and then you did this. It's starting to feel familiar.
Not again.
Yeah. I'm sorry. This is where everyone's going to stop listening. I still don't think Sora should have been the winner of the ballot. He's just another sword fighter. I don't care. I'm not into Kingdom Hearts at all. So.
It's just a key.
It's just a key.
But it's the key blade. It's a blade. I don't know how. There's no sharp edge, but it's a blade.
It functions the same.
I remember going like, he'll never work because they'll have to jump through hoops.
I was gonna say
With Disney.
That was my whole thing. That's why I didn't think Sora was gonna get it, because Disney. Because
that's why.
I will say this: if Kingdom Hearts was Kingdom Hearts and not have Disney
he
on
would have
there,
been in a long time ago.
he would have been in Wii U and 3DS.
He probably would have joined in Cloud's trailer.
Or yeah, you know, it's like
because it's a Squeenix rap, but it's the
Exactly.
Disney side of it.
it was the Disney.
Because I was like, if the Disney side is just not there, then is it still Kingdom Hearts?
I was like, because my mentality of Sora being it was like, I was thinking that if they did that but didn't have the Disney part of it, then fans would have been like, what the fuck? Why no Disney or something? That's what I thought. But
I underestimated the power of we just want to see Sora in Kingdom Hearts, and that overtook all Disney. Lack of Disney-ness in there besides Mickey's little...
I'll say the only Disney thing you really get
Mickey's
is on Mickey's little fucking icon on the end of the chain
on the Keyblade.
of the Keyblade. That's the only thing. Other than that, it's
they had the balls to bookend with Inkling and the Smash logo, and the fire burns out, and then the lock is in the air, the keyhole, and it unlocks, and he just fucking...
I'll say a fucking
floats out like a little
fucking Mario just goes into fire and then throws the shit out in the air, and then it's like the Keyblade, Sora.
God.
So DLC characters.
Prime Plant, best character. I was wondering why it took so fucking long for an arms rep, and finally Min Min was in DLC Pack 2.
Right.
made no sense to me. I was
Yeah.
like, shouldn't that be like the first character you fucking show
that
off?
seemed like an easy choice,
in your
honestly.
fighting game? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was saying, and actually, I don't think it was Min, but it was like an Arm's character was going to be in like the base as part of the base newcomers,
Yeah.
but something along the way happened, and they just had to wait until then, which was like, okay, I don't understand, but sure. I mean, hey, at least we finally got it. So
Who
it's
is
like,
beeping there? Sorry, I keep hearing a bunch of
I think
horn beeps. Also.
it's Mom. I think she's on.
What are your thoughts on Ultimate, Chase?
Good game. Lots of fun. I like. Yes.
Well,
Well, because
it lives up to the Ultimate name.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, because I agree with you. Like with having that, like everyone is here and then being able to see it. That was a big thing. There it is
Oh,
again. Hack. What were you doing here?
I was like, and here's where we cut out of the cut.
Oh, okay. Back to you.
Do we just leave all that in? What the?
That's up to you. You can listen back to it and decide.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say is I had the same reaction with the everyone's included. You know, because there's already between all the different games so many damn characters, and then you have all the plus the DLC characters, and then you have even more that they've included with the 2 battle passes. Battle passes, Jesus. But yeah,
Fighters
yeah,
Pass.
Fighters
yeah,
Pass,
whatever.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Packs.
There's just so much, you know, and then they have all the different modes. Everything's pretty well balanced for the most part. There's just a lot of new flavor in it comparatively to pretty much everything before it, but it's clean. You know, obviously there's some like you said, Steve from Minecraft is like, okay, I get it. Like Minecraft's like the best-selling game.
He fucking went insane.
I was
Yeah.
because I didn't think it was possible.
I remember-
I was like, what?
I
was like, how
actually,
could you do that?
I remember-
How could you make that happen?
I remember
And they did.
at
They
some
found a
point,
fucking way. They're like,
Marcel, Marcel and I were having a conversation about like, because we were, you know, because I was just we were talking about earlier is how Microsoft and Nintendo have been having a better connection with each other recently.
Yeah.
So we were talking. I can't remember when this happened. Probably a couple of years ago. We were like, all right, if they include a Microsoft character, who would it be? Because they don't have a lot.
Yeah.
You know, because we were just talking about like most of Microsoft's big titles are shooter games.
Yeah.
Most of their big exclusives are.
I-
and so like that doesn't really go well with, you know, because you have Snake, but he's not, you know, and
Doesn't
Fox,
use, like, a gun
yeah,
or
and
anything.
Fox's little blaster, I guess, you know, Bayonetta, but even those are kind of like halfway there, you know, they're not
Was
like
it-
shooters, you know.
the only real character to where you have to like really like press a button to shoot a gun is Joker with B, and he uses a real fucking gun. It's like
For me,
okay,
for me, I remember telling him the character that I would have liked to see. I knew it won't happen because he's obscure and most people don't know about him. But is Blinks the Time Sweeper? I think he would be a great fit for that type of
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
aesthetic, the energy. He would be original with his sweeper. He'd have all kinds of new moves.
Yeah.
He's artistically just well fitting for the thing. But they're not going to include that because no one gives a shit about Blinks the Time Sweeper. Unfortunately, it's great if you haven't heard of it, play it. It's awesome. But so that just kind of came to us with Steve. We're like, if it's gonna happen, it's probably gonna be Steve from Minecraft. It maybe a kind of fits, but it has the popularity, you know, to carry over into that without being a shooter. You know,
yeah.
It's just,
Because I honestly thought that if there was going to be another Microsoft, it would have been fucking Master Chief.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I would.
yeah,
have
and
thought,
I didn't
because
see that
thought-
happening
I've heard that
because it
around.
was a shooter guy, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, because there's already this big hype with Doomslayer.
I
I'm
was
like,
saying,
that's
it
not
was
gonna
both.
happen.
It was both Master Chief and Doomslayer. That's where I was like, okay, they're popular enough. They've got
Oh,
got
'cause
the,
now
they
that,
have the audience
now
behind
that
them,
Minecraft,
and it's like, okay,
Microsoft owns Bethesda, which, you know, is
Minecraft does own Bethesda. I rember that.
no, I meant no.
know.
Microsoft. I know. Listen, okay. Sometimes my brain gets ahead of my mouth. But no, because Microsoft owns Bethesda now, so Doom wouldn't have been that surprising, especially with, you know, especially that's that giant Isabel plus Doomslayer meme.
I mean, the memes are in Sans
Yeah,
is
Yes.
in the game.
Yeah.
Not as a character, but that's the closest we're gonna get.
So
Everyone does art and stuff like as if he is a character, but
Yeah.
it's not. And so it's kind of like, okay.
That's like one little small thing. I don't want to like. I am super totally not tearing that fandom down, but it's like, don't pretend like they're actually in the game when they're not. Because for as much wishful thinking as Shantae is a Mii costume in Ultimate, I really wanted her as a character because she deserves it. Like you were saying, for Blink, not only does she match the art style 1000%, she's got the history. She started on GBC. She's been on a good chunk of the... She's been on, like, a lot, in fact, of... I don't think... Well, on GBA, you can play GBC, so you can technically count that as her being on Game Boy. But she's been on, like, DS, like DSi, 3DS, Wii U, not Wii, Wii U, Switch. So a good chunk of Nintendo games, or handhelds, or consoles and stuff. Makes total sense. But she didn't actually make it as a playable character, more so as a... So I can't say she's in the game, because she's not. But some form of her is being represented, at least in some way. She's also a spirit. I mean, when World of Light was teased, she was in that trailer for like a brief second. So we were like, shit. And that's when we were the whole thing of, do spirits deconfirm characters?
That's
And
what
then
everyone was thinking.
That was
like,
confirmed
is that what
false.
that is?
Because who deconfirmed that? Whose inclusion deconfirmed that?
Pyro and Mithra.
Okay. I forgot
they're-
they were even there.
I think there was. I think there. No. The first one was Min Min. The first one was
Min
Min Min.
Okay.
Because again we didn't since her spirit was already in there, we didn't know if that was a deconfirmation
Yeah.
or not. But then when Min Min was revealed, it was like that breaks all of that. Like that whole thing of spirits just out the fucking window because now we have Min Min as a
Because
character.
Spirits were Ultimate's version of like the trophies, because that was a rule for Brawl and mainly for Wii U and 3DS.
That's it.
If they're
And
a trophy, they might not make... Or characters that were trophies in Melee and Brawl ended up later just becoming characters in Brawl, in Wii U. Like Wario was a trophy in Melee, became a character in Brawl. So stuff like that.
Yeah.
There was just like this fan-spoken rule that like, well, maybe if this character, they were represented kind of via trophy in this game, maybe they'll be a character in this game. And then it was just the whole thing.
Because the other thing too was that spirits in the lore of World of Light was that the spirits were of the characters. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like, so that's where it was like, does that mean that like as if this character isn't in the game or not?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that's how it started, but it's like that's kind of where the mentality started of like what does that mean?
Because it was an in-universe thing.
Yeah.
I love Smash Brothers.
I was gonna say we've covered a lot of bases in this conversation here.
I'll say,
I mean,
and
that kind of spans the
but
whole
it's funny
series.
because this whole thing basically started off with Wii U, 3DS, and Ultimate because those are the main ones where it's like
it
gets
seems
weird.
it seems like they've finally kind of hit this particular stride on like, this is now modern Smash Brothers. This is just what it is. Whether there's some things we like, some things we don't like, they'll keep experimenting if there are future games, because that's a whole other thing as well. There was it might date this podcast, but there was a recent article about like, Sakurai says don't expect a new Smash game at some point or in the future because we don't know if there'll be a sixth one. He said the same thing before he made Ultimate. I think that's why he made Ultimate, because there was the long-running meme of Sakurai says, don't ask me for anything ever again. Because people keep fucking bombarding him to the point where he can be on a podcast or a presentation for someone else. He was on something with Katsuhiro Harada, I think, and he couldn't even go saying like, my favorite such and such is. They couldn't even talk franchises because people tuning in would hear Sakurai say, my favorite franchise is this, and think, oh, that character's gonna be in the game. He's gonna put in Smash. Like, it got so ridiculous. It's one of those celebrity paparazzi things where like, there's a particular type of attention that you inherently as a person are like, this is awesome. And then there's a whole other side of it where it's like, shut the fuck up, leave me alone.
That's always why, like, I've always been a bigger fan. Like, if I was famous, which I'm not, as we all know.
Oh, this channel's going places, I'll tell you what.
If I've always
Game Grumps, watch out.
yeah, like more casual fame, you know, like
Yeah.
when you're like, yeah, because not when you have like paparazzi, right? That's just like pull my hair out. I don't want to deal with this shit because it comes with these types of problems, you know.
Yeah.
But if you have like a more casual fame where people know who you are and they respect you, but they're not like, oh my god, and they like put so much weight into everything you do and say and want to be just like you know, like yeah, it's a little much. And back off, please. It's okay.
He
So what
went
do you
through,
think? Yeah, like you said,
Yeah. Guards, please get her out of my
security.
presence.
security.
But it starts to get more real and more raw when you realize, like, Wii U and 3DS, that production led to some very physical pains he endured, like in his hands and his wrists and stuff. So just because Sakurai was that passionate to make sure that things were going the way he wanted them to, and trying to do stuff for the fans and all that, and just work to make sure things were coming out on time and all that, to where it's insane we even got as much as we did out of Smash through last year and this year. And
Because there wasn't even supposed to be a second pass.
was it not?
I think there was supposed to be one. Wasn't there first? And they were like...
There was one, and they never said anything about more past that. But then by the time, like, before the second to last person was revealed for the first pass, they said, oh, by the way, we got 6 more after this.
The way it went was that they gave the release day of Banjo. They revealed Terry early on in like the that same like direct, because Terry was right after Banjo, and when they did that they were
Well,
like,
Banjo was at E3.
well
Terry was in a different...
Well, I'm saying after they gave the release day of
Chronologically. Okay, yeah.
because that release day was in another direct.
That's right, okay.
So I'll say after that they revealed Terry, and then they were like, oh, here's
Oh yeah, because Terry was the last of that pass.
And then they were like, could this really be the end? And then they were like, okay, here's a brand new pass. And then it's like, okay, here's a 5, bam, 6-1.
6 more, yeah.
So they were like, oh, then there was like, oh, fuck, oh, okay, second pass. Then people immediately were like, okay, then when it gets to that, what about a third pass? And it's like, okay, shut up. No,
That's
a little too much.
People were saying...
Because he was like...
People were saying
he didn't
third
want,
pass win.
He didn't want to do a whole bunch, like a whole bunch, so it's like, okay,
Well,
it's getting a little too much now.
Okay,
Don't
it's
do too
funny
much.
though when in that presentation, the E3 2018 presentation, when we first got like, that big look at Ultimate and all that stuff, and we got the title and everything, and he was like, "Don't expect too many new characters." Oh, by the way, he was Ridley, but like just hearing him say that, and him probably already knowing ahead of time, like, I've got a lot planned, and then we get fucking. On top of, like, the base rosters still yet to be revealed, 11 more, after 12 more when you really consider, like, Piranha Plant being, like, the technical first DLC. Like, stop! Okay. This is awesome, but rest. Like, for
you
real.
have earned it.
More than earned it. And, I don't know. I was saying, like, there's not going to be a 5th game, because Wii U and 3DS... For as much as I have issues with it, like, it took a lot out of him. So he's probably going to want to leave it for, like, a few years. And mind you, I think the DLC for Wii U and 3DS ended in, what, 2015? I think so. 2015? So the fact that they teased it in 2017, I think, very beginning of 2018 or the very tail end of 2017, they teased Ultimate with the Inkling thing.
That was early 2018.
Okay.
Because that was in February.
Okay. But just a few years, and he's already back on Smash and being like, by the way, fucking all this shit's gonna be in it. Like, I feel he did that, A, to alleviate the, like, don't ask me for anything kind of thing, and, like, just kind of riding that boat for a little bit, but B, because maybe he doesn't even know how much more he wants to do past this. And, again... It being called Ultimate, it really does feel like the culmination of like everything Smash was.
And that is true, because if for pretty much any game, like if you have the developer or what's the word? We're like the main heads of the game, whatever.
The director.
Yes, when they start to become, because even your biggest hobbies, you eventually, if you do too much of it, you get burnt out. It's just the reality of the situation, right? And if they start to burn out, you don't want to force them to keep going, because that's when you start to get less, inventive. That's what you get lazier.
That's
you know,
where it's
'cause
like-
you don't
that's
have the
where-
same amount of love for your product anymore, and that shows
I was saying, 'cause
almost
then-
all of the time. And you don't want to. He's not going to want to leave you guys off on a sour taste. You're not going to want the sour taste. So, if they're saying they're done, they're done.
Pretty much, because that's pretty much like the reality of it is like you ask for too much, and then you're not. Then when you get it, it's like, and it's not that good. It's like, okay, well then,
It's a lose-lose at that point.
yeah.
But that's why it being called Ultimate, having everyone return, having even the stages. We didn't get a whole of we got brand new stages, but the majority of those stages are just shit from remastered from N64, GameCube, Wii U. Like, it was all in that order too. So it was like this just giant love letter to the rest of the series that came before it, and then they went beyond with extra characters and all that. So it just feels like it's like, okay, this is like my magnum opus of Smash. So that's where I go. Does there need to be a sixth one? Because I was saying, does there need to be a fifth one? Because I didn't know what they could do to top Wii U and 3DS, or to even alleviate issues I had with Wii U and 3DS. He alleviated a lot of those, and then some. Now it's like, how do you top it being the literal ultimate Smash Brothers? How do you do that?
So you can kind of speculate.
Because even he questioned that too. Of like, I'm not sure how else we could top Ultimate with how big it's gotten and how big it is, So it's like, if there, I would say if there was a new one, it would have to be something like the ones before. At least something maybe like Melee or Brawl, something like that, to where it's like either has the Nintendo focus on it with maybe very little third parties or something.
Maybe just the really, really popular ones. Yeah.
It's something like that.
But
not have it to where it's like, okay, now it's even
Well,
more
'cause
grand than Ultimate.
It's a gamble too, because it's like those who love all this shit that's been stuffed into Smash Brothers with this one are gonna feel like, what the fuck is this? This is half a Smash Brothers.
Well, sure, but then when you think about it, it's like,
Well, we appreciate it because we grew up with
That's it.
smaller Smash Brothers.
but then when you think about it like this, it's like you have Ultimate. Ultimate is basically like how you were saying, it's a giant love letter to the series, for all the games past, because you've got all the stuff, all the good stuff like from the 64, Melee, Brawl, and all that, and it's like, if you want to have all of that, you have Ultimate. Like, I know it might not be super accessible to everyone, but it's like, if you want to at least see that it's like, this
the
is
best
what
of
they've-
everything. Like,
the best of everything, you have
the
Ultimate.
greatest hits collection, basically.
Yeah, so it's like, if you make another one, then it's like, it could be like a chance to kind of,
Start over.
to sort of kind of be like, okay, maybe refocus a little bit on the Nintendo side of it, and then maybe go up from there or something.
If I had to speculate, I can't see Nintendo dropping Smash entirely. It's simply too big of a title.
Yeah.
Right. But what I can see is, right, maybe since, probably at least a gap, right? So you see, like, because that'll allow for a couple things, right? That burnout won't happen. It will probably be headed by someone new, right? Which could be a good thing, because that might be able to bring in an extra different viewpoint and ideas that could be brought to the table, so that when it does come out, you can still have a little bit of a freshness, even if it does have to backtrack a little bit. It'll leave a little bit more room for new characters to come in. Nintendo will have expanded by that point. There will also be a gap. So there will be like a generational gap, 10 years, let's say, maybe, until the next game comes out. That's given time for people to kind of cool off from Ultimate, so they might be more ready for a game, even if it is a little bit simpler. And there's going to be a new generation of people that have never played one before, so they're not even going to really have that ability to compare and go back to and go, why is this half of Ultimate? You know what I mean? And then they can kind of restart their build from there.
Because like I was saying earlier, they're sometimes
They're going to have to wait till the next console, because it's
yeah.
always an entry a console.
As like I was saying earlier, sometimes simplicity is like the best thing they can do, and I feel like that if there's a new Smash, I would like for it to at least kind of have that in there. That element of simplicity, where it's kind of like, this is what it was like before, so it's like,
Because I was saying too, it's funny. Also, we didn't touch on it like a whole lot. We made fun of like the villains of it, but like, Subspace was such a cool story mode. They finally brought in a story mode into Ultimate, so that got us hyped. But it's World of Light, and it doesn't feel like a story mode. It just feels like a smaller off to the side mode.
Yeah, it's an adventure mode, but not a story mode.
Yeah. But they labeled it as a story mode too. They were kind of flip flopping between the terms.
But
and
it's
like,
but if you tried to compare it to the Subspace Emissary, it's not comparable. It's different. It's a
no.
completely different thing.
Oh yeah.
But I was thinking like, well, maybe if they do a 6, then they do like a story mode that's a little bit more proper. They could just find a way to like nuke half the roster somehow, and just restart.
Well, they're gonna have
There's
to.
got to be some way to do it.
Nintendo, like, you know how like kind of go off track. That's not super new. It's like their Pokemon series, with their newest ones, like they used to try and make it so like you could continue to complete the Pokedex, right? So each new game would have all the Pokemon before it.
Yeah.
But now they're like damn near 1,000 Pokemon, right? So I'm pretty sure, I can't remember. They were basically like, just FYI, the new Pokemon games, we're not going to do that because we can't just keep developing infinite Pokemon and have all of them in our games forever.
Yeah.
Right? Do you know how much labor and work it takes to animate animations for 1,000 Pokemon?
Well, I think that's why that they like started doing them like in different regions.
Yes.
So that way it could be like the Pokemon here are way different than the ones you know.
Yeah,
and
but they
that
used
was like
to,
their way around
but
it.
they used to interconnect them a little bit. Where like you could trade with each other, like so you couldn't catch them in this game, but you could trade up from an older game and have them in your game, right?
Yeah.
And they've just said they can't support that anymore. It's just unfeasible. It's unrealistic, right? It sucks. It would be great to have all of the Pokemon forever, but the reality is that's just something
They'd
you
have to
can't do.
justify going simpler, and especially with the roster, because that's what people care about more now than ever with Smash, with an in-universe reason rather than just Sakurai coming out and saying, okay, guys, sorry to break it to you, we're not going to do 80 characters in this one.
Yeah,
and then
like I said,
some.
Yeah, it's like you can still have new characters, you know, but you just don't have to have all the originals, and that's okay. It's not like the older games aren't still there, fully accessible to you.
So Nintendo will just sell them to you again on the online fucking thing.
I mean, yeah.
Damn it.
They love selling you your nostalgia.
Yeah.
So
That's the thing you got to remember is just don't let the new experience take away from the old one, you know.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people do that, and they shouldn't.
When it comes to Nintendo, I mean, play's at the forefront. Smash is still about play. It's still Smash Brothers. Still feels like Smash Brothers. Certain bits of it loses that essence from what we grew up with and how we experience things such as unlocking characters, seeing who was in the roster, stuff like that. That stuff is kind of lost here and there. Some stuff we just don't agree with. Obviously, we ranted about it. But at its core, it's still Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
Even Wii U and 3DS, still Smash Brothers. It's clean. It's fun. It's,
So, yeah,
you can
'cause I
still
gotta
play
say,
with friends.
Before Ultimate came out, I always played Wii U 3. That's how I got better at playing Smash.
I was playing Wii U and
because-
3DS like nonstop.
Well, yeah. But I mean, it's like, you know, it's that's what I was saying. It's like it's not when we critique Wii U 3DS, it's not that we're bashing it in a way that says this game fucking sucks, it's garbage.
Don't
It's
play
like,
it. I mean,
yeah,
fucking whatever.
it's like it's like it's still fun to play. It's still like a good game to get. It was just all of the minor stuff, all like the minute
It's
stuff and all
decisions and character inclusions were like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
that's
And
what
about
we're
it.
getting,
That's like
like-
where it ends.
Yeah, because then other than that, you play and it's like you can have a damn good time with it, especially
Exactly.
with
Like
with
if someone
other
came out
friends
and said
whatnot.
that 4 was one of their more favorite ones, you can be like, all right, I don't agree with that, but I could see
I mean,
why you would
yeah.
still
I mean,
think
okay,
that.
okay.
Yeah.
I run this channel. If we really wanted to push that opinion of whatever, we wouldn't have played Wii U and 3DS on the channel.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
I said,
Yeah.
we played every single game besides Brawl, which I just said we're gonna do Subspace Emissary, and then we'll do a versus at some point, whether it's game night or just like you and me, Victor, or you and me, Chase, or something. We'll find out what to do. But we're representing all of Smash on this channel, and in this podcast, we talked about every single entry. So some we don't have a whole lot of opinions. It's okay, 64. It's a good game, obviously, great start. Now it's an empire.
Yeah,
of
if
crossovers.
it wasn't for
and
64,
brands
we
and-
wouldn't be where we are today. So
Exactly.
we got to thank it for what it was at the very least.
Smash Brothers helped us. Me and Vic get into Nintendo, so there you go.
That's probably about everything.
It is.
Covered a lot of bases there.
Yeah. I feel like one other topic would be if there was another entry, and if it was kind of like how I was saying of like if they wanted to restart and go back with focusing on the Nintendo aspect of it, what characters would you guys like to see?
Crash. Rayman. Oh no! Because I know what you mean.
As I'll say, you literally just said Nintendo, and you're like
Nintendo. It has the Nintendo third-party history.
Yeah.
Multi-platform history, rather. Okay, Nintendo reps. Sorry.
How about this? Nintendo reps first, and if there was any third-party inclusions.
Dr. Eggman. I don't know. It's still not Nintendo. People want Eggman. People want Shadow. People want Knuckles.
They want all the Sonic characters.
Remember, Knuckles is not sexy in the new Sonic movie. Just so you know.
If you really wanted those, you could just make him one of the color ones. Like red Sonic is actually Knuckles, yellow Sonic is actually Tails.
You could just make Super Smash, Destruction Fusion, version 2, the fan game where it's all sprite work.
You mean Smash Flash?
Smash Flash. I'll try to make up a silly one.
I don't know.
Actual new Nintendo. Fuck, I don't know. I still wanted Crystal, to be honest. Not only do we get a female Star Fox rep, she doesn't have a blaster. You can say the same thing for Star Fox, and all three of them, there's just three, but if they included like Slippy and fucking Peppy, they'd just be blasting. But Crystal would have had her like staff and shit. It would have been cool. What about you?
Well, Nintendo probably. If we were talking Nintendo characters, I would like to see the champions from Breath of the Wild.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yes, I think
That'd
because
be dope.
I think each of them is unique in their own way, so it would be
Yeah.
interesting characters.
Yeah.
Right. So that would be for me if we're talking Nintendo specific characters. If we're talking about third party characters, because of Xbox's relationship with Nintendo, Blake's the Time Sweeper. Please. I'm desperate. Let it happen.
Yeah, man. What do you think? Comment down below. Characters you'd want to see in Smash Brothers.
I would
The
honestly.
age-old question.
I would honestly say like if the Nintendo aspect of it is like because there's with the Nintendo aspect there's a whole bunch from all the different franchises you could pick from.
There's still.
There's a whole bunch, even including some fan favorites and all that. I mean, it's like I can see most of those being in there. Like I understand, even if it's not ones that I would personally want. I can see the potential, and if they get in, then good. Then hey, those people will be happy. Because the most realistic ones I would see new ones was like from Zelda or maybe like from Metroid even.
Yeah, especially now that Dread just came out and was so popular and won awards at the Game Awards.
Yeah. So it's like, you could pull from some of the franchises that don't really have much, like F-Zero or something.
Yeah, because there's a lot of older series that have got like none in a long time, so have them come back in would be refreshing, that's for sure.
I was about to drop a joke and be like, when's Nintendo gonna make a new original IP? But when they tried, either Splatoon thankfully worked, and it felt like this is the most Nintendo thing they've come up with, but it works and it's awesome. Because they tried codename Steam and no one fucking remembers that shit. Pikmin has a few games. It's in Smash, so I mean at least there's that. And then when they try to return a certain IP like Star Fox Zero, they just miss the mark entirely.
Yeah, they just botch it, unfortunately.
And it's like, okay. So, like, it's really hard to say. And with F-Zero, people still want to see F-Zero, like, be revived, and I don't know how they do
Speaking
it.
of revives, I'm looking forward to that Kirby game.
Oh, fuck yeah, Forgotten Land. Yeah, that shit looks awesome. I'm excited. Let's go play some Kingdom Hearts.
Have you ever played a Kingdom Hearts?
I have the first one!
Okay.
We
On
actually
PS2.
we actually did try and play it once.
I got stuck in Alice in Wonderland, and I never touched it since. Don't ask me what happens to the plot. I don't fucking know. Nor do I care.
I remember we tried doing a new game, and we were like in the very fucking beginning.
I'm sorry, it's not interesting. I don't want to leave this off on a bland note, on a depressing Mark's stupid with his opinions note. Play Brawl and Ultimate. What are your guys' final words? Chase, go.
Blinks the Time Sweeper.
Okay, Victor, what are your partying Smash words?
Settle in Smash.
Settle it in
You have a
Smash.
problem? Settle in Smash.
Yeah, and then deck your friend in the face. Remember that fucking cringe amiibo trailer
Oh God. Don't.
with the kid who's trying to impress his girlfriend or whatever, or the girl he likes.
The only thing I'm thinking of right now is that really funny animation of the dad who's like, "I'm just looking for the perfect amiibo."
Oh boy.
Or that one fucking trailer where it's like they're like trading amiibos or some shit like that, and it's like supposed to be like very grim and like gritty and whatnot.
Oh, that's
who
from,
did that?
Nitro Red.
That's right. Okay.
Granicore.
Yeah.
Amiibo the movie.
All right, now we're just rambling.
I know, but it's
Okay.
like, you know.
Goodbye. Tune in next time.
Tuna next time.
It's Bob the Builder. Bob the Builder for Smash.
Bob the Builder for Smash. Build it up, smash it down.
This is Bob the Builder fixes it.
Dude, Wrecking Crew.
Can't forget.